Well, let's go now to the actual financial crisis. What do you think game theory can help us understand the crisis?
Well, the bottom line in game theory really is incentives. Yeah. People act in accordance with their incentives, and this is something that is very, very often forgotten. Not only in economics it's less often forgotten, because really what makes a market economy work and what makes a socialist economy fail to work is the matter of incentives. I mean, they work for themselves, they're not going to work for other people, yes. The slogan of to each according to his needs, from each according to his abilities, is a beautiful slogan. It's very, very appealing. It doesn't work, okay? It's because people are not going to work for somebody else. People work for themselves. They're willing on their own, or if you tax them, they're willing to respond to taxes and to legislate taxes and to help out the needy, and they're willing to open their pockets by themselves to the needy, but basically, when at the end of the day, people work for themselves. We visited Vietnam a few years ago. Vietnam went to a market economy in the mid-'80s. On a certain day, the communist government, which is still communist government of Vietnam, saw that they saw that their people were starving, because they had this idea of from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs. And they said, this doesn't work, our people are starving. On August 1st, 1986, I think, we're going to a market economy. And they did, and the country is thriving now. So incentives are what makes the economic world turn around, and really it's what makes the whole world turn around, okay? It makes the political world turn around also. It makes the world of international relations turn around. Yes, international relations, war and peace, they are based on incentives. You are not going to get peace unless you provide the sides with incentives to make peace, okay? So everything is at the bottom of all human and even biological relationships lies the idea of incentives. Now the question was, how do incentives affect the financial crisis? I don't think we have time for me to go into the nitty-gritty of it, but let me give you some basic ideas as to how incentives brought about this crisis, wrong incentives. And one is the method of compensation of executives, okay? Now, the whole world is shouting about executive compensation, right? It's a big issue. But I think that the world is addressing the wrong angle in this issue of executive compensation. It's not the size of the executive compensation. That's not the answer. I think executives should be compensated in accordance with the rule. The size of the compensation should be in accordance with the rules of the market. Yes? So supply and demand. Good executives, if they're in short supply, you pay them more until you find another executive who's willing to take that amount and of equal quality, and then you don't pay them, the first one, any more than that. supply and demand, just like anything else, just continue. Well, I mean, I don't think there's a continuum of executives, but those rules apply there just like in any other commodity. So it's not the size. And you try to regulate it, you try to keep the size down, it's going to screw up the market, yeah. What's wrong with executive compensation is not the size, it's the structure, okay? The structure of executive compensation, the way executives are compensated, by and large, on the whole, is some part of this compensation is straight salary, and a very large part of it is options, okay? Now, what is an option? An option is a piece of paper on which it says that you have the right to buy stock in the company at some preset price, yes, and until such and such a date.